One of the most daunting parts of arriving in a new place is often literally the first thing you do when you step off the plane, getting from the airport to your hotel. But today, we're gonna fix that. Bonjour from Charles-de-Gaulle Airport. So this is Paris's main airport, and most of you guys will probably be flying in and out of here. By the way, hi, I'm Amelia, and I've been living in Paris for over 3 years, and trust me, I've made my fair share of mistakes before I figured out how to best get back and forth from the airport. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you about all the different options you have, but most importantly about one that you should avoid and why. So, on y va! Charles-de-Gaulle Airport, or CDG for short, is France's busiest airport. It's actually located 25 kilometers northeast of central Paris in a suburb called Roissy. It has 3 terminals simply called 1, 2 and 3, and the largest of these, Terminal 2, is divided into sectors lettered from A to F. This is all relatively straightforward, however, your arrival terminal might have an impact on your transport choice, so keep watching to make sure you're not caught out. Okay, so the easiest and sometimes the fastest way to get into the city is by taxi, but this convenience comes at a much higher price than the other options. However, if you think you're going to be super tired after your long flight, are traveling with lots of luggage or with kids, it might be worth the extra cost. While it is more expensive, I have some good news for you. There are fixed price taxi rates from Charles-de-Gaulle to Paris, so you won't have to worry about not knowing what the final cost will be, especially if you get stuck in traffic, which can be pretty bad here. The rate is a little different depending on which side of Paris you're going to, so it will cost you 56 euros for the right bank and 65 euros for the left bank. If you do think a taxi is your best option, don't get scammed. It's super important that you only accept a ride with an official taxi driver. You might have to walk a minute or two. Once you're outside, there's a well-marked taxi queue and sometimes even an attendant that can help you put your bags in and show you the next available taxi. How do you know what's an official taxi? Well, unlike in some other cities, here there can actually be any car model and any colour, which might seem a little bit confusing, but they always have a taxi sign on the roof that looks like this. So it lights up green when the cab's available and red when it's not. Official taxi drivers will absolutely never be waiting inside the terminal buildings. So if somebody approaches you and offers you a taxi ride while you're still inside, this is definitely a fake driver who's gonna try and scam you out of a lot of money. They don't use fixed rates, and even worse, they'll try to massively overcharge you for the ride. But if you do want a driver to meet you inside the terminal, then you could pre-book a private taxi transfer. We'll put a link to a reliable company that we trust in the video description below. But if you're arriving during peak times or just want to avoid traffic, this next option might be the best for you. The option used by most of us locals is the RER. So this is the suburban train network for the area around Paris, and once inside the Paris city limits, it connects up to the metro, which is the Parisian subway system. The line that goes to the airport is RER B, and it costs €11.80 from Charles-de-Gaulle to the city centre. It runs from about 5 AM to 11:50 PM and departs every 10 to 15 minutes, and the ride is only about 30 minutes long. Once you're inside Paris, you might need to switch to the metro, depending on where your hotel is. You don't need a separate ticket if you change onto the metro, because your airport ticket is good enough until your final destination within the city. You'll just need to put your ticket through the turnstiles again when you're at the interchange station. But whatever you do, be sure to keep your ticket until you exit your final station. Because if you run into a grumpy ticket controller, and believe me, they're out there, you could get a €50 fine if you can't show them your ticket. And that is definitely not how you want to start off your Parisian adventure. So if you think this option could work well for you, after you exit baggage claim, all you need to do is follow the sign saying Paris by train or simply train or RERB. There is an RER station directly inside Terminal 2, which is a bit big since some long distance trains leave from there too, but the RER Train to Paris platform is well indicated with big signs, so you hopefully won't end up in another French city. If your flight arrives at Terminal 1, you have to take a free little automatic shuttle train called the CDG Val for about 5 minutes to reach the RER station. If you arrive at Terminal 3, you'll go outside and walk along a small lane for about 5 minutes to reach the CDG 1 station. It's very well marked, so you shouldn't have any issues. Now that you know how to find the station, you'll need a ticket, and there are 2 ways to purchase them. By far the easiest way, the one that will save you tons of time, is to buy a virtual ticket via the Paris Transit Systems app called Bonjour RATP. It's available on both iPhones and Androids, and you can also get metro tickets on there too, so it's definitely worth checking it out. If you're having trouble, don't worry, the app's pretty new and sometimes it has a few bugs. You can instead get a physical ticket when you arrive. There are automatic ticket machines within the RER stations. As I mentioned before, the station at Terminal 2 is a little bit big and busy, plus it's a tad confusing to find the ticket machines. They're actually behind the escalators that lead down to the station, so once you're at the bottom, turn around and you'll see a whole row of machines. Some are for the long distance trains, but the ones for Paris are well labelled. Once you have your ticket either in your hand or on your phone, you just need to follow the signs for "To Paris." Validate your ticket at the turnstile by holding the virtual tickets above the validation area, or by putting your little paper ticket into the slot, and you'll be able to walk through and go down to the platform. The airport is at the end of the RERB line, so as long as you follow the signs for "To Paris," you'll be on the right platform. You can get on any of the trains that pull up, as all of them stop at all the Paris stations. I do have a word of caution if you take the RER back to the airport when you're heading home. In the direction away from Paris, the RERB forks, so you make sure to check the electronic destination boards on the RER platform to make sure the next train has CDG as the final destination, or else you might end up in a Parisian suburb, some of which are a little bit sketchy, and trust me, you do not want to end up there. The trains to CDG always stop at both Terminal 1 and 2, so as long as it says Aéroport CDG, you'll be fine. Now, this next option might be the most convenient if you're staying in a certain bit of Paris. Let's take a look. Pause for 1 second. Are you loving our tips so far? We've got even more in our downloadable Paris 101 guide, so it's got everything you need to know before your trip. You'll find out more information about how to conquer Paris like a local, how to tip, how to get around the city, and more. You can download the Paris 101 guide via the link in the description box. And did I mention that it's free? Now let's get back to the video. Okay, so if your accommodation is near to the Opera Garnier, you need to know about this next option, the Roissybus. It's an airport express bus that travels non-stop from each of the CDG terminals to the Opera Garnier, which is a pretty central location. So it operates from 6 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. and buses leave every 15 to 20 minutes. The total trip takes about an hour and tickets are around $16.60, meaning that the Roissybus is both more expensive and longer than the RER. So unless your hotel is near the opera, which it could be because there are a bunch of hotels around there, you'll likely have to take the metro or a city bus afterwards, which will set you back another €2.15 and can take you even more time. Because of this, I really only recommend this option if you're staying a 5 to 10 minute walk from the opera, if you have mobility issues or will be traveling with a lot of luggage. Based on this, if you think the Roissybus is the best solution for you, after you exit the baggage claim area, look for the Paris by bus signs. These will guide you to the bus stop at your terminal. You can then get your ticket through the Bonjour Paris app from the vending machines at the bus stops or from the bus driver themselves. There is actually one more option by public transport, and it happens to be the cheapest option. There are 2 regular city bus lines that connect the airport to Paris. Bus number 350, which goes to Porte de la Chapelle, which is on the north edge of the city, and bus number 351, which goes to Place de la Nation, a large square in the northeast of Paris. Either bus winds its way through different suburbs and takes around 70 to 90 minutes to reach its final stop in Paris, depending on the time of day and traffic, so it does take a long time. It only costs €2.15 if you get your ticket from a vending machine or via the Bonjour app. You need to select the T Plus ticket option. It's a little more at €2.50 if you buy your ticket from the driver, which you have to pay for in cash, but you don't have to have exact change. Unless you're staying right near one of these locations, you'll probably need to take the metro after the bus. Fortunately, there are metro stations near both bus stops, but you'll need to buy another ticket because you can't transfer from the bus to the metro using the same ticket. Okay, now this next option is actually one that I would avoid. Let me tell you why. Paris does have the option to use apps like Uber, Grab, or Bolt to get a taxi. While these apps are handy for getting around in Paris, they are an absolute nightmare to use at the airport. So we do recommend avoiding using this option. It's because there are actually no designated meeting points for rideshare drivers at CDG, or if there is, most of them don't really even know where it is. And it's not indicated until after you've booked your ride. I don't know how many times I've been stuck in a situation where I can't find the driver. He tries to text, or even worse, call, which you definitely don't want if you don't speak French. The price might seem a tad lower than the taxi rate at first, but if you're having trouble finding each other, a wait fee will start, and this will actually push up the price. Regardless of the cost, it's simply super stressful, and it is the last thing you want to be doing after you get off a long flight. If you want a reliable and stress-free car ride into the city centre, you should take an official taxi or book a private transfer like the one that we've linked down below. Are you ready to learn about how to take the metro in Paris? Watch our next video, which tells you everything you need to know about taking the metro. And with that, I'll say à la prochaine.